So we talked about user stories and how much work they are, but how do you know whether you've got a good one or a bad one? And like, is it too big, or is it too hard, and is it actually useful? Does it have business value? So another acronym that we came up with as part of this is SMART. So a good user story is specific, measurable, achievable in a single iteration, relevant, and we'll talk about what the 5 whys are, and time box that you notice give up. So let's go over those, what makes a smart user story. So each scenario, specific and measurable are kind of related, that each scenario is testable. It implies that you, for every good input, you know what the result's going to be. So you can tell whether it does it or not. So an anti-example here is the user interface should be friendly, right? Let's see, how are we going to test and measure that? Who knows, right? That's just not something you measure. So it's got to be something like, you know, response time has to be 90% of the time less than 3 seconds. And typical will do this connector format of, given some specific conditions, when I do X, then what's the consequences of that? That'll be, when it has that format, it tends to be more specific and more measurable. How about achievable? And what achievable in this case means from Agile is completing it in a single iteration. Because if you can't do it in one iteration, you'll do a subset of stories. But you're always aiming to having, remember the Agile premise is the prototype is always working at the end of iteration, so you can show the demo to the customer. If you're getting less than 1 story per iteration, you got to get better at making your estimates of points to be able to do that. So you break them down. The relevant part of SMART is it has business value. So for those of us who aren't business majors, you know, what are we talking about here? It makes an economic difference to the company. It's not just, well, that's an interesting feature. What does it do to help the company be successful? So protect revenue, increase revenue, manage your expenses, increase the visibility of the brand, making the product stand out from the competition, and generally finding more than customers. So here's an example that talks, on this webpage, talks about deciding whether a thing has business value a lot. But we found this thing, trick. The 5 whys is to find relevance works pretty well. And you can basically, this is a very easy thing to implement. It's like, you know, your 3-year-old nephew can implement this for you. So let's start off with that box office manager. So as a box office manager, so that I can induce this patron to buy a ticket, I want to show her Facebook friends. Why? Okay, that's the first why. Well, I think more people will go to enjoy the show more if we do this. So why is that important? Okay. Well, I think we'll sell more tickets. Why is it important to sell more tickets? Because the theater makes more money. Well, why is it important for the theater to make money? And we want to make more money so that we don't go out of business. Well, why does it matter if you go out of business? Then you won't have a job. Okay. So it's kind of surprising, but this simple mechanism asking why a bunch of times kind of forces you to drill down in exactly what the issue is that you're talking about. Oh, okay. Right, it's really helping us to the bottom line. So yes, it's a good one. So if you ask a bunch of whys and it stays vague, then maybe this doesn't have a lot of relevance. The last part of SMART is time box. What we're worried about in software, given the statistics, is that you're going to exceed the time budget. You're going to put something together and it's take a lot longer than you think. So what we want to do is break it up into smaller pieces so you avoid overestimating. Avoid underestimating. Well, I guess, yeah, you're avoiding underestimating the length of the project, that it's going to take longer than you want. And as we said, Tracker helps you with calculating that velocity.